So welcome everyone, and I just like to mention this ahead of time, just in case that we have some technical difficulties, please bear with us. Yesterday we had some minor things happen, as you know, we're virtual, and so I just want you to bear with us just in case if this happens again. So don't get off or anything like that. Eric Estrada will fix it, I hope. Thank you. Okay, so again, welcome. I want to welcome everyone to our Westside Neighborhood Associations Coalition District 5 City Council Forum. Our coalition works to unite, promote, and empower our community. One of our focus areas is to provide a way for District 5 community to be involved in making informed voting decisions. WNAC does not endorse any political candidates. I'm Velma Peña, president of the Westwood Square Neighborhood Association and WNAC, and will serve as your moderator today. I will also be doing some timekeeping for Aggie Jamarillo. Can you please, she will be the actual timekeeper, but at the time that she does her questions, I will take over doing the time. And so we did have prepared questions from the coalition members, and we also had questions that community also submitted to our coalition. So we also want to thank Eric Estrada. He is the president of Los Jardines for providing the virtual platform today. Aggie Jamarillo, she is the president of Los Fuentes and member of WANIC and timekeeper. Cynthia Spielman, she is a steering committee member with the Tier 1 Neighborhood Coalition and member of WANIC, and she's an alternate for ground rules. And Marisela Garza, president of the Gardendale Neighborhood Association and member of WANIC as well. She will be doing the ground rules today. And we also have Richard Garcia, president of the Memorial Heights and member of WANIC as well, and he will be doing the closing remarks today. We want to thank the candidates that are present today: Marie Crabb, Anthony Gres, Jason Mata, Ricardo Moreno, and Jerry Landin. All candidates were invited. Only two, Irma Baron and Jesse Alanis, did not reply. Marisela will explain the ground rules.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I will be explaining the ground rules. All participants must keep microphones muted except for the moderator and the timekeeper and the candidate currently speaking. Chat will not be available. No personal attacks. This forum is not a debate. Please abide by the guidelines. Please be respectful of the moderator and timekeeper. Candidates' biography intro will be allowed 2 minutes. Questions will have 1 minute each and 15 seconds of alert and stop. Candidates' closing will be 2 minutes. And now each candidate will now give their bio, and we'll start with Miss Marie Crabb.
All right, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Marie Crabb, and as you know, I'm running for City Council here in District 5. I'm a small business owner of a real estate company, and I was born at Santa Rosa Children's Hospital downtown. I attended Holmes High School, and I earned my master's degree from St. Mary's University. I'm Apache, and I have very deep ties to the American Indian community here in San Antonio. As your next council representative, I'll focus on 4 priorities, which would be small business growth, job opportunities, public safety, and infrastructure. First, for small business growth, I'll work to increase access and opportunity to funding and support for our small businesses and nonprofits from the Departments of Economic Development and Human Services. For jobs, I'll work to increase jobs by making sure city agencies and nonprofits expand their internship and externship opportunities. I'll also develop pipelines for those currently employed for career advancement and job opportunities for our District 5 residents. Public safety, because it's such a vital part of our community's day-to-day life, I'll work to increase the police presence and show how our police not only represent but participate in our community. I'll work to create walkable sidewalks and paved streets because it's very important for our community's health. Again, my name is Marie Crabb, and I humbly ask for your support on May 1st.
Next we'll have Mr. Anthony Gres. Yes.
Hello. My name is Anthony Gres, and I'm running for District 5 City Councilman. Now, I've spent over 47 years invested in the community of District 5. I'm a small business owner. My company is WNAC Concepts. Now, I've created jobs in the district, so I offer real solutions to everyday problems. As your next City Council representative, I will address small business needs by working with city staff to increase business grants, loan opportunities for small minority-owned businesses. I'm committed to working with Workforce Alamo Solutions, SA Works, Alamo Colleges, and other nonprofits to increase job opportunities and awareness. Now, finally, I'm committed to creating affordable housing. COVID, again, has shown us how resilient our community is. I support continued delays on eviction process. Will propose a change in the rental assistance programs that allows landlords and renters to be secured. Now, with all this said, also, I understand that we need some community investment. We also need better policing, more secured streets. And with that, I humbly ask for your support on May 1st to be your next City District 5 representative.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Jason Mata. Oh, one moment. Wait. Is he unmuted?
Go ahead, Mr. Mata. You're unmuted.
Thank you. I can't hear.
He's not unmuted, Eric.
No, he's unmuted. It's just his mic's not working. I see a green icon on there. He might be having some issues with the microphone, perhaps. Let me unmute him again and mute him back. Okay, try it again. Mr. Mata, can you hear us?
Well, we can't hear him.
Okay, can you? Yeah, we can't hear you. We can. You can hear us, but we can't hear you.
Can we go to the next candidate, Velma? And
Can you check your mic, sir, on your computer, Mr. Mata?
Yeah, I would recommend maybe exiting and coming back in and see if that
Yes.
resolves it. Perhaps sometimes that does fix the problem, and we can come back to Mr. Mata.
We'll come right back if you can try exiting out and come in. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Our next candidate, and we'll come back to Mr. Jason Mata, is Mr. Ricardo Moreno.
All right, thank you. Guys, you can hear me there, right, correctly?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. First and foremost, my name is Ricardo Moreno, a longtime District 5 resident. I've grown up on various points. I used to live on Monterey Street, went to Desaval Elementary, and then moved to the south side of District 5 over here on Flanders and Keats. And I graduated from Harlandale High School, so I'm very acutely aware of the dynamics throughout District 5. So I run on a platform that's focused on education. That's the first paramount pillar of my platform, and I'll tell you why. The reason is I'm a longtime educator. I've been an educator for 10 years. I'm currently an assistant principal at Losoya Middle School within Southside ISD, and I've also been able to serve my community here in Harlandale for the last 6 years as an elected official, where I've been able to, one, create improvements for our community holistically, not just streamlined in one way. And it's been focused on being able to be the board president and also having the privilege of being the vice president and secretary at various points throughout my 6 years. So I'm acutely aware of the scrutiny and the accountability and the transparency that's needed in order to be an elected official and what's needed to foster community engagement. So that's the first component, which in addition to that, I'm going to emphasize the need to provide relief for our local businesses and help those affected by COVID-19 pandemic and create trust among our stakeholders based on tolerance and equity. I know local businesses should have access to PPE and other COVID relief initiatives that have been provided to the city from federal and state levels. And we need to create a plan to streamline that process because the online part isn't necessarily working for everybody. And we may need a physical version to reach more business owners. I also think it's important.
15 seconds. I'm sorry.
And so that's okay. So real quick to wrap it up, the idea is I feel in fostering and putting the emphasis on education might be the impetus of all, because if we're able to partner and broker and leverage within the coalition and collaboration between ISDs and cities, I think we can actually do some great stuff to promote that, and I'll share more on that. Thank you.
Sir, okay, thank you.
We'll go back to giving a try to Mr. Jason Mata. No. Nothing yet.
Go ahead.
Can you try again?
Yeah, he this time he logged in with another user.
Right here. No. Any suggestions, Eric? I'm not sure.
Only thing I could recommend is before you join the meeting, like I would exit, but before you join again, there's an option to test your speakers and your microphone, and see if that works, and that could point you in the direction if there's a technical issue. Mr.
Okay.
Ricardo.
Yes, sir. I know
sorry,
in
what-
in the meetings that we've had, sir, we always have to utilize whether it's WebEx or Google or Zoom. A lot of times too, it is probably check your settings for your mic because you might have it on a different speaker. And even in schools when we're doing the live casting, the teachers don't have the right speaker connected to it. So you're probably going in the right direction and directing them where to go.
Oh, true. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Good point.
Do we try moving forward and then coming right back for our next candidate? Our bio for Mr. Geremy Landin, and we'll come back to Mr. Mata.
Thank you. I'm good. Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all for having us. My name is Norberto Geremy Landin. I'm currently an executive director at Con Corazon, a nonprofit that actually provides testing to all schools in District 5. I'm also a marketing and marketing communications coordinator director at Stamp Allergy. I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. Sorry, excuse me. I'm a homeowner here in the district. I was a homeless student at Fox Tech High School and graduated from there. I then completed my undergraduate work at St. Mary's University, and I'm really excited to be here and able to speak with all of you. I'm the son of a single mother and was born and raised here in San Antonio. I'm a generational resident of District 5. My parents and grandparents and so on have all been residents here in the district, even my great-grandma over off of Lone Star. So I'm really happy to be here, and my focus as a candidate is the quality of life of the district, it's public safety in the community, and it's community investment. It's making sure that all of those things that our communities are looking for are being heard, and that we're making sure that we're taking those things into account and working with all communities, especially the neighborhood associations that have built the foundations for what we will continue on as council members who, I also want to note that my focus is making sure that I understand and know that there are differences within the district. As lots of people think, oh, it's just the west side. Well, we've got District 5 on the west side, on the southwest side, on the south side, in Southtown area. It's understanding that there are so many differences within all of the district. We are such a diverse district, and we are comprised of a district that touches so many different corners of other
15
districts.
seconds,
I think
sir.
that's really, really important to understand and note that. So my goal is really to be able to continue these conversations and continue talking to all of you as community leaders and making sure that we are really being thoughtful about the decisions we make as council members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Mr. Mata back yet? Any suggestions, Velma, as far as coming back, or?
Probably checking out his equipment, just like Eric mentioned, for him
He-
to check.
Miss Peña too. He can call in. That might be the easiest route too. That he can be on the screen and then be calling in as well and being a part of the meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna recommend that as the next option because as long as his phone works, we can just get his audio. And it looks like he joined right now. I'm gonna let him back in.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and move forward, and as he comes back in, we'll go ahead and hear his bio once he's able to securely come back in. So the next, we will now be forwarding this to Ms. Velma. She will initiate the start of the questions.
The first in line for the questions will be Richard Garcia. He will be asking the candidates the questions.
Velma, I see Richard. I'm sorry. Jason joined in with his phone. So he might have already thought ahead on what we recommended. So do you want to go ahead and have him?
Go ahead. See if we
Okay.
can. Yeah.
Okay, stand by.
Jason? Are you able to hear us? Okay, I can't hear you, but can you try to give your bio?
I got
I
him
just
muted now.
unmuted him. I just unmuted him.
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, again,
ready.
thank you guys for having this meeting. I appreciate you guys inviting us. Well, first of all, my name is Jason Mata. I'm 48 years old. I've lived in the district for more than 30 years. I've worked in the district for about 25 years through a neighborhood association known as Prospect Hill Neighborhood Association. I also work with youth with the Advocates Boxing Youth Program, and I have a social service background by working with the Advocates Social Services. I've been married for 24 years. I have 3 children and a granddaughter. My son serves in the Navy, my daughter's in college, and my youngest son is in SISD, Crockett, it's not elementary school anymore, but it's, I think it's transitioned. I also have a granddaughter that I'm taking custody of, my wife and I are. I've been proud to be working here in District 5 for all those years. I've initiated many different initiatives. One regarding public safety was petitioning for an SAPD or law enforcement storefront right here on Sarsamora Street, where there's a lot of vagrancy and homelessness, prostitution, everything else that goes on there. I know a lot of people don't like to use the word vagrancy, but it's the reality of the community. It's what's going on. We have a huge drug problem that we have to start addressing. That initiative I got 500 petitions signed in 2 days. And that tells you how great the need is. It was shut down by the city. The city said it was too expensive to get that done here. Those are one of the things that I would bring to the table. I would look at that, revisit that, not only in my community, but in other communities in District 5 where there's a lot of crime going on. In the youth, I worked a lot with youth, at-risk youth, to help boost their self-esteem. There's a huge problem with our kids. We need to get them educated, and we need to get them on a right path in life so that they can be enriched. And when they're enriched, the community will be enriched. I do agree with what the gentleman there who said about education in District 5.
15 seconds, sir.
Okay, in District 5, we only have 36.6% of the people graduating from high school and less than 10% with a college degree. That tells you a lot about what's going on in our community. We need to fix that generational poverty. That goes hand in hand with crime, and that goes hand in hand with voter apathy, which is a big problem in our community. Not too many people vote, and so it becomes a big problem for us. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So Richard will start the initiation of the questions.
Okay. Hello, Ms. Crabb. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes. The first question is, have you been involved in any community engagements, served on boards or organizations pertaining to District 5? Briefly describe your major accomplishments.
Sure. So I have been involved in nonprofits that serve seniors, seniors who don't have family and are over the age of 70. So delivering groceries, delivering meals, helping with day-to-day activities, anything that they need just to function, because a lot of the times they may not have the money or qualify for outside help. So that's one of the organizations that I've been involved with. I also am a board of director on a animal rescue nonprofit that does a lot of work in the West Side and the South Side. And it's not necessarily District 5, but they do have a satellite organization at Harlandale High School that teaches responsible pet ownership to students. So we do a lot of rescue work in District 5. And additionally, I live here, I invest here, and I am a big believer in our small businesses here.
Stop.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Gres, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, same question, sir. Have you been involved in any community engagements, served on boards or organizations pertaining to District 5? Briefly describe your major accomplishments.
Yes, sir. I'm a president currently of, or vice president currently of El Chado Association. My mom's a president now since I'm running for council. I've also was served at the YMCA board for a few years, but also for the past 8 years, I've been giving back to the community using our own funds here from my company. Me and my mom and my dad, every year we feed the homeless. We feed over 300 meals every year. During Thanksgiving, we give out toys for Christmas. We have big events here, and it's all for District 5, just for District 5. So I'm always busy in the community, giving to churches, events. We have people now that they're loosening up COVID restrictions or a lot of benefit plates going on because people don't have the money to pay or bury their loved ones. So they're having benefit plates. So a lot of people are coming here to, to actually buy stuff to serve
15
with the
seconds.
benefit plates. But yes, I've been involved for the past 8 years, sir, in the community. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mata? Mr. Mata, can you hear me, sir? Hello, Mr. Mata?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
I can
Go
hear
ahead,
you,
sir.
yes, sir.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Same question, sir. Question is, have you been involved in any community engagements, served on boards or organizations pertaining to District 5, and briefly describe your accomplishments?
Sure. Well, the three nonprofits that I mentioned before, the Prospect Hill Neighborhood Association, Advocates Boxing, and the Advocates Social Services, it's been more than 20 years that I've been involved with those organizations. But I also served 3 years on the Haven for Hope. I served a year on the Westside Development Corporation. I've also co-founded quite a bit of initiatives. The biggest accomplishment that I'm going to tell you that I've had is, and it was for a tragedy. You know, back in year, I think 2015, a young girl named Natalie Chavez was killed here in our community. She was a homeless 15-year-old girl who was prostituting herself, and she was killed, left for dead under one of the bridges. I organized a march called the Justice for Youth March. It was in her memory, and we had over 400 participants. That was the biggest accomplishment because of the nature of it, and it was honoring her. I mean, we can't forget about
15
those kind of
seconds,
tragedies.
sir.
Yeah, we can't forget about those kind of tragedies, and that was the whole thing. We can't forget about her. So that's the biggest accomplishment. Thank you for asking that question.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Moreno, Ricardo Moreno, same question, sir. Have you been involved in any community engagements, served on boards or organizations pertaining to District 5, and briefly describe your major accomplishments?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I currently serve and had the privilege of being elected to the Harlandale School Board since 2015. I'm an educator as well. I've worked at South San as well as Southside, so pockets within District 5 as well, where I've been able to engage in various activities that promote our students. During the freeze, unfortunately, we did have a lot of issues, and one of the things that we were able to do was partner with the SA Food Bank and have a huge giveaway where we fed 1,000 families with food boxes at Memorial Stadium. That was for all people. Additionally, during that week, we had 500 grab-and-go meals at Leal Middle School within District 5. Now, when it comes to my biggest accomplishments in serving on the board in 2015, education is paramount, as I mentioned, is we've gone from in 2015 to now, we've gone from 89% graduation rate to 96%. To me, that's a totality of what we've been able to accomplish to provide the resources for our community staff and
15
students.
seconds.
And in between that, college, career, and military readiness, that's been another component that we've gone from 20% to 40%, where most of our kids that are college ready are taking less remedial classes, which saves them a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Landin?
Absolutely, thank you. So yes, definitely I have. I'm sorry, I don't know if you're going to repeat the question, but yes, definitely I have worked with organizations and boards. More recently, through the nonprofit that I started back in March, like I said, we've been able to provide free testing for all schools, including Harlandale, Edgewood, SAISD, for families of students and also students, faculty, and staff of all the schools. I had been a photographer that has volunteered my time at many organizations, including the Guadalupe, the Esperanza, and many other cultural organizations as well. I helped start the Gardendale Elementary Pre-K for SA program when I was an employee with the city of San Antonio. So I'm very proud of that. Lots of students getting to take part in that. And I think that's an amazing opportunity for us. I've helped with the Last Chance Ministries with Pastor Jimmy Robles with food distributions and other events that he has put on. And most recently during the freeze, helped evacuate and feed over, I think, almost 200 residents from different properties throughout the city. So definitely been involved. Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question is again goes to Mr. Landin. Mr. Landin, given the recent adverse weather conditions last month, what plan of action would you implement to serve and to effectively communicate with our constituents Since so many in our district do not use internet, email, social media, how do you plan to get vital information to these residents?
Absolutely. This is something I was talking about with other folks who were involved in the mutual aid efforts during the freeze. What I feel like is that innovation in many ways killed many of our residents and was the problem that led to so many not getting the information. I think we need to be a little bit more simple about things. Back in the 40s and 50s, and when they would use radios to get messages out to people, and that was something you could get bilingual, and folks had, it's a battery powered system. I think we really need to start thinking a little more simply, and coming to residents and saying, what would be something that you think you would know immediately you could use as a plan of action. I think we need to work with all of our neighborhood associations and the 116 nonprofits that we have here in the district and figure out how in the future we all work
15
together
seconds.
to make sure that these types of things do not continue to happen. It's our job to mobilize and to organize and to make sure that we are doing what we can as community members to help.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ms. Marie Crabb?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. The question is, given the recent adverse weather conditions last month, what plan of action will you implement to serve and to effectively communicate with your constituents? Since so many in our district do not use the internet or have access to emails or social media, how do you plan to get vital information to these residents?
Well, communication is a big avenue of making sure that our people feel heard and feel safe. And that being said, we need to start looking at other cities the size of San Antonio to figure out the things that they've done for emergency planning and for residents that don't have internet, that don't have cell phones, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can figure out through other cities with similar size how to put emergency plan communication in place and just basically have that plan. And we might have some practice runs about how we get that information out, but ensuring that we know what's going to happen and when and who we're getting that information to. So, and that's making sure that we have those residents accounted for that don't have internet and phones. We can't just randomly guess at the time of need.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Gres?
Yes, sir. I mean, we need, the plan of action is simple, man. I mean, we need to have whoever is going to be council person needs to have a plan of action already in place, work with all neighborhood associations. This is why we created neighborhood associations. We have to have a list that's going to be able to have numbers, have phone numbers, have address of the people that don't have internet, don't have a basic cell phone, don't know how to use social media, don't know how to use social media. So by working together and having a staff already in place, like myself, that's ready to hit the ground, creating lists, working with every neighborhood association to make sure that if this were to ever happen again, we start preparing. As a business owner, I understand how to prepare ahead of time, not wait to the very end or push it off to everyone else to figure out what needs to be done. We need to take care of District 5, and this is what we need to do as a District 5 city councilman. This is what we need to do.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mata?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you loud and
Okay.
clear, sir.
Great, thank you. Well, I believe that the digital divide, the internet access that we have in District 5 came into play. Like I said, like I told other people, it showed its ugly face at that time when we had this winter crisis. So we need to definitely work on that, right now. We need to be figuring that out. I know there's a pilot program, but I'm going to break it down for you real simple. We need to have boots on the ground. If we can't communicate through phone or we can't communicate through internet, or through texting or whatever, then we need to go and visit some of these folks. Boots on the ground. I did some of that myself. I drove around looking for some homeless folks that some people asked me to go check on. So, I mean, I was doing that because I was helping individuals with their plumbing issues and my own plumbing issues. So I was already out there. So identify people who can be out there already, who have the capabilities of doing that, and go and check on their neighbors. So again, working with the people who can go out there and check on the other folks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Moreno?
Yes, sir. So just diving right deep into it, we know we need to plan, assess, and evaluate. And then to me, as an assistant principal, I'm actually in charge of our emergency operation plans when it comes to our schools. And a lot of times what happens is we use our schools for warming centers and things like that. So if we use these schools that are within our neighborhoods, I see them as community hubs. We don't need to create something new. To me, if we utilize their emergency operation plans and partner with the city, to me, it would make it a little bit easier to facilitate that relief for our community members and also that engagement. In many instances, as was noted, many of our families are being raised by the grandparents, great grandparents, a very dynamic group of people. And those people already go to our schools. And those emergency operation plans are already at the front office. So we can partner with each other and find a way to branch out. Because I know not every area has a homeowners association. I know over here on the south side, we have Terra Linda, but not all of them are talking to each other. So this would be a great way to bridge it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moreno. And now we going on to our third question. And Mr. Moreno, this is going to be a two-part question, okay? Can you commit to reopening the Las Palmas field office within the first 45 days? And also, what criteria would you use in choosing your staff?
Sure. So, I mean, I definitely would commit to finding ways to find ample areas to serve our area, our community. I know we're lacking, obviously, in this area, in the southern part of D5, and also the Las Palmas area. And I think I would definitely commit to finding ways to broker some sort of consensus for all stakeholders. When it comes to the criteria for my staff, I have a public administration background, so public policy. In addition to administration, I mean, I pretty much help in running the school at my campus at the local level and then also at the school board level. So to me, I would definitely have someone that would be probably more than likely have to have a master's in some sort of public funding or public policy, public administration, or something along the lines of community relations. Because the big thing is making connections with our community. That's the big thing is we're going out there and talking to people. It's how do we build relations? How do people believe in us? How do people trust in us? How do we broker that ability to communicate and have people trust that what we're doing is in the best interest of all people, not just one group of people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Landin?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Yes, so to committing to reopening the Las Palmas Center, yes, the answer is yes. We also need to find ways to branch out into the other areas of our community, and we have opportunity to use different libraries and other city facilities already. So I hope we would be able to utilize those spaces as well. In terms of how I would help pick my staff, actually, I'd really like for neighborhood associations to help me pick my staff. I would like for those, those applications to come in and we split things out into buckets. And it's kind of the same way if we start to see more community budgeting happening. I would really like to see community helping us pick our staffs at the same time as we're doing things like community budgeting. I think you have a say in picking us. I think you should have a say in helping us pick the folks who you think should help us lead the communities as well. So that is my plan for picking my staff.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Crabb?
Yes, sir. Considering the situation with COVID, I will, number one, definitely commit to opening a field office in the Las Palmas area. As to whether it's going to be the same specific location, if there's a better location that's more accessible, I'll definitely consider that. But the time frame, I'm not sure if COVID allows, I'll definitely open it up as soon as possible. But we need to keep everyone safe. So any procedures to make sure that the field office can be safely opened, I'll do that as well. As far as picking staff, I'm an experienced business owner, and you're choosing me to be the conduit for the neighborhood. And as someone who has hired staff and people to work for me before, I'm definitely going to look at the folks who have been operating things and know how to hit the ground running. So I'm going to look at people who are currently working in the city office to see if there are some folks that we can keep in place.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Gres, same question.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely going to say yes to committed to opening up the Las Palmas branch library, basic field office. Sorry. Now, with that said, I can't promise it's going to be in the same area, but I do know by going to the meetings before COVID hit, if we were to put a field office in the library because they're going to renovate the Las Palmas branch library, it can actually help because we're not going to pay any rent. So it actually creates a better facility and a better field location due to the fact that we can actually bridge the digital divide that we have in District 5 in the Las Palmas area by actually getting people to come in and help them understand how to create, how to use information, how to create notes, how to use a computer and try to bridge that digital divide. Now, in retrospect to my staff, I have a staff ready. I have a staff that can hit the ground running. They understand local
15 seconds.
politics. They understand state politics and federal politics. This isn't going to be a guessing game for me. This is going to be hit the ground running and move forward. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to keep on going forward.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mata, same question, sir.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, yes, definitely. I will reopen up the Las Palmas field office. It was being used quite a bit, and it's a house right there, right by CPS and SAWS, where a lot of people are going for the rental and I'm sorry, for utility assistance and rental assistance. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. As far as my staff, District 5 has a lot of social ills. It has a lot of social service need. It's probably the most demanding need that it has. So I'm going to have social workers with me. Yes, educated people who can do business. Yeah, that makes common sense. But we're going to have social workers out there. We're going to have some kind of background of working with people who have a lot of need. Because that's what our community is. So definitely be a lot of social workers. I have a social worker background. I ran a lot of different initiatives, and I can hit the ground running as well. I mean, I'm ready to do it right now. I was ready to do it last year. So yeah, definitely, that's how we're going to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir. At this point, this comes to the conclusion of my questions that I was going to ask, and I'm going to hand over the mic to Ms. Cynthia Spielman with Tier 1, and she'll present the following questions. Thank you all for your answers.
Thanks, sir.
What 3 citywide issues would you like to address on City Council? And maybe start with Anthony Gres, please.
Citywide issues? Okay, well, citywide issues, I mean, there's the homelessness, there's safety, public safety, and there's basically gentrification going on throughout the city. These are the 3 major issues that I see right now that we need to address as a city council representative, because gentrification is happening in District 5. Public safety is really lacking in District 5. And basically, another one, I'm sorry, small businesses. I'm a small business owner. If we don't create funding for our small businesses, we're going to lose every single small business. I've lost 80% of my business. But throughout the pandemic, I still kept my employees. I still pay them above minimum wage. And we need to figure out how to get more money into our small business, because we are the backbone of this community throughout the city. We need to educate all our employees to figure out what else and how they can move
15
forward.
seconds.
And then gentrification, again, housing use, some of our housing stock currently that we have, it's big, Cynthia. So, I mean, with throughout the city, we need to figure out what we need to do correctly as a District 5 representative.
Stop.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Mata, would you like to answer that
Yes, ma'am.
question, please?
Yeah, definitely. Public safety being number 1. I mean, that's all over the city. But it's not just the crime, it's the streets and the roads, and there's a few roads. There's more than a few roads in District 5 that are very unsafe. Sarsamora, Geremy, McMullen. There needs to be a great look into those streets and getting some safety measures there. Affordable housing is another one that's it's a real big issue. It's going to affect citywide. So we need to figure that out. And of course, digital divide is another one that's affecting not only District 5 but other adjacent districts. So those would be the 3 that I would be focusing on.
Thank you. Ricardo Moreno.
Yes, ma'am. So in looking at it and assessing and evaluating, obviously public safety, finding ways to provide a stronger presence and provide that support to our community members. We have infrastructure that is holistically in bad shape, and it's something that we need to address throughout the communities, not just in D5, but D3 and D2 as well. In addition to that, public housing, I know things are set up to where we want people to be able to have the greatest investment that they can have, which is a home, a house. And that's something that's tough within all our areas, within the southern parts of the community here and the east side of San Antonio and the west side. So those are components that I would definitely want to address. I think one of the great equalizers is going to be our component of education and finding ways to broker that, because we're already doing a lot of wraparound services to provide those ways to support them. We find ways to bring our families in to provide internet support. And we also need to key in on the mental health support for our community members to help with the homelessness issues that we are having. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Geremy Landin.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. So 3 top issues. One for me is the gender pay gap. We've got a huge gender disparity. Council just passed the equity resolution for gender pay, and I think that's long overdue. I don't want to see any more single moms having to struggle to have 2 or 3 jobs. I just don't think it's necessary anymore. I remember my mom having to deal with those issues. Sustaining small business, it's coming to small businesses, not just small businesses at the first level, but also second tier small businesses who are struggling to get by, but that don't qualify for all of the aid that's coming through right now. Those are our economic engines for all of the communities within our city. I think that's very vital and important. And the last thing is homeownership, but through the means of addressing the tax issues that are happening. Like I said earlier, District 5 on the south side, a lot of them are dealing with tax issues on the property, even though they're able to protest taxes on their house. And on the west side, very similar issues as well. So understanding how we can help address those tax issues and advocate at the legislative sessions as well.
Stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Marie Crabb.
Yes, ma'am. So 3 very important issues that I would like to address and will push to address are getting people back to work this year, especially after having one of the hardest hit economic years that most people have ever experienced. There's a lot of people citywide and especially in our district that have been out of work for the better part of a year. And there's an education gap that's they might have had jobs for 20 years, but now having to reapply for the same job looks different for them. And we need to figure out how to help those folks and in essence, help our small businesses. Additionally, public safety, it's something I hear from a lot of our residents while I'm out there block walking. That's the same thing I'm hearing. So people need to feel safe. It's not just, one street or 2 streets. It's a lot of people. And the last thing I would say is the backlog of infrastructure. A lot of people want to know why their streets haven't been done for 40 years. Their sidewalks haven't been done for 40 years. And I think that we need to start finding and pushing for answers on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. My next question sounds similar, but it's about budget. And so I'm sorry. The last one would be, what are your top 3 budget priorities? And so, Ms. Crabb.
I am definitely going to say the public safety infrastructure and figuring out how we can help our small businesses because that will help people get back to work. Those are the real world things that people are dealing with right now and need help with right now. So I feel like those would be the appropriate things to concentrate on budget wise.
Thank you. Anthony Gres.
I mean, we need to concentrate on and focus on basically the small businesses, public safety, and here in District 5, the homes. We need more affordable homes. Now, walking the district, talking to people, affordable. Every part of the district is different. They understand. Lone Star area understands the growth. They understand the need progress. They understand the homes, but they also need help with finishing some of the structural houses that aren't completed there. But they don't want a single family home next to a duplex, next to a triplex, next to an apartment complex. They want to keep it beautified there. Over here in District 5, we have housing stock that isn't being currently used, but we also need security over here. Three budget issues, equality issues, equity issues, the budget equity. That's why Councilwoman Gonzalez created the equity budget. There's nothing equality about District 5 at all.
15 seconds.
We're always the last ones to get the short end of the stick here. I mean, let's all be real here. Come on, guys. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be focused in District 5 that hasn't been addressed in ages. And it isn't because they're not doing anything. It's because of the people that are representing us.
Thank you, sir. Jason Mata.
Yes, thank you. So it would be more police presence, safety issues, affordable housing, an effort to help the small businesses. I know that we got COVID money, emergency money, maybe twice already, and small businesses still continue to struggle. So we need to find a way to leverage that kind of help with the city money and get that going. But there's also another need, infrastructure. I mean, we have to look at the infrastructure. That's always going to be a need. So public safety, small businesses, infrastructure, and affordable housing, possibly through that Proposition A. But we need to find a way to leverage all that, even if that gets passed. So that's what I'll be focusing on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ricardo. Moreno?
Yes, ma'am. So I would say as well, I mean, these things aren't anything new. These have been around since long before I was born as well. So the idea really is public safety. I think we can leverage that with our local ISDs in addition to our SAPD and county sheriffs. Those are things that we could definitely emphasize in order to build some more equity and equality throughout our areas. Providing that relief for our businesses, our small businesses, and providing workforce development. We provide that already through our schools that we can continue to leverage. There's not things that we need to throw more money at, because when you throw more money at, it doesn't necessarily mean that the problem's even solved. We need to find a way to facilitate it in a better way, and to broker it in a better way where it's actually done appropriately. And infrastructure. I mean, that's something that I know barely. In talking to Ron Nirenberg last year when he was asking for our support to support him
50
as
seconds.
2 years ago there, he said we're finally getting to where we're paving roads, things like that. But there's more that needs to be done. Don't do it at a small pace. Do it in an equitable pace and a fair pace.
Thank you. Geremy Landin.
Thank you for the question, Cynthia. I think before I answer what I think my top 3 budgeting issues would be, I do want to note that I am committed to utilizing a participatory budget within my office. And I think that that's what's going to be very important to all of the communities, especially neighborhood associations. If it was my 3 that I think of on the top of my head, it would be infrastructure, definitely health and human services, and then emergency preparedness. As we've all seen this past year, we really need some help in those areas. But it's going to be a community decision, as as I said, we'd like to utilize participatory budgeting as well for both our personal budget as a council person and also the general budget with the city.
Thank you. So the next person asking questions will be Maricela Garza.
Thank you. So my first question goes to Mr. Geremy.
I can't hear you.
What would you do differently to address the housing crisis and homelessness than the approach the current council and administration have taken?
Absolutely. That's kind of a loaded question right now in San Antonio. I think it's because there's so many different approaches. I would really like to take time to analyze what it is that's really going on and how we can address some of the issues. We're seeing some opportunities in different cities across the nation. We're seeing tiny homes being developed, something Pastor Robles has been wanting to do. We're seeing hotels being purchased in Austin and other places. I think something Councilman Trevino has been looking at. I think we really need to come together and figure out how we can utilize the whole city budget and utilize what we're doing on a council as a whole to address some of these issues. I will be honest, I'm not an expert in houselessness and homelessness, and I think I'd really like to speak to some of those people who are and understand from them what some of those issues we can do to solve it. I was homeless myself, but I utilized the McKinney-Vento program through, it was a federal program that helped me out of that. So it's a much different process. So.
Stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Marie Crabb, same question. What would you do differently to address the housing and crisis homelessness than the approach the current council and administration have taken?
Well, I definitely think that what we've been doing has gotten us to where we're at now, and it's unfortunate that people have to live on the streets and experience homelessness, and nobody likes it, and it's hard on our city in general. I think that we need to start looking at different solutions where we're not just concentrating all of our efforts on one side of town. I think it's fair for other parts of town to help assist our houseless population. So it's long been on the west side, and that's great. We're definitely have open hearts that we've been helping with our houseless population. But if we want different results, we have to start doing things differently. And that means asking other parts of town to help us with this solution and not bearing the whole burden of the solution ourselves, and pulling in different minds from different sectors and not just relying on the same people to try and figure out and get us to the same place where we're at.
Thank you. Mr. Anthony Gres, same question. What would you do differently to address the housing crisis and homelessness than the approach the current council and administration have taken?
Well, I mean, 2 years ago, I mean, since I've been running, for office that I've been running, I mean, this has always been an issue, homelessness, it's just not homelessness, it's mental illness, drug abuse, displaced families, Heaven for Hope has big money coming in every year. However, it's not being utilized correctly, I believe. Now, to address that, we all need to be working together, but this is why it's very important, very imperative that we use and focus on affordable housing, not tiny homes, affordable housing, because there's people in the district that currently have multiple families living in a home. And rather than that, if they have drug abuse, mental issues, they're out getting drugs. So we need to focus. It's a broader aspect of it. I mean, it's not just concentrated, but we need to address every single issue directly, because this is why we have issues, especially near Haven for Hope, because we're asking officers to protect and serve, but not also be mental health specialists, all these other things that they need to do instead of doing the job that they were hired to do. But we need to work as a whole in our community and try to figure out how we can spread it around a little bit.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Mata, same question. What would you do differently to address the housing crisis and homelessness than the approach the current council and administration have taken?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Well, I have, I'm always about outreach and services. So, I know there's some of that going on sometimes. I don't think there's enough of that going on. I believe when it does go on, you got the cameras and you got the media there, showing the rest of the city that someone's out there talking to these folks. I just don't think it happens enough. So I would definitely want to do a lot more of that, more outreach with services. But the federal government, HUD, has recommended that we do a housing first initiative or approach, I should say. So basically, they want to house these people, then get them the services. The only way that I can see that happening is if they purchase one of these vacant hotels and try to get as many people in there, and then try to get them the services. Yeah, mental illness is a big part of it. People are using drugs because they're self-medicating, and those are issues that come along with homelessness, unfortunately. But I would definitely start getting very active in that. The thing about purchasing a hotel could possibly, could address the gentrification issues that we got going on, because you wouldn't be wanting to buy houses, you'll be already housing them. But yeah, that's what I would do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ricardo Moreno, same question. What would you do differently to address the housing crisis and homelessness than the approach the current council and administration have taken?
Okay, great. So one of the first things that I noticed is the cross timber homes with Saha. I mean, I think that's a good program that we can definitely build off and expand on, providing lower income families and middle class families the opportunity to have home ownership, which is incredible. But I would certainly advocate for a significant increase in construction of public housing across the city, with reinvestment and rehabilitation of all existing public housing units, and an end to tax cut for developers. I feel this would be vital in providing support and relief for our residents throughout District 5. These tax cuts have pretty much ballooned and have had negative impacts, such as lost revenue for our local ISDs, which would aid in supporting our students, staff, and community. So I think developers must pay their share when it comes to our local economy, and this influx of revenue could assist in creating support for all our displaced persons and provide additional services that would meet their needs. So that's the approach that I would take. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move on to the next question. And this goes for Mr. Jason Mata. Do you support the propositions on the ballot regarding police reform, accountability, and why?
Do I support defunding them or taking away their
It's the propositions on the ballot.
But no,
regarding,
I don't
police
support taking away their rights to negotiate their benefits. No, I don't.
Same question, Mr. Ricardo Moreno.
Yes, ma'am. So when it comes to the, oh, I'm sorry, you're going to read the question. I'm sorry.
I can, sorry. Do you support the propositions on the ballot regarding police reform and accountability, and why?
And I know this is a very controversial item that has, definitely been addressed throughout the media, and a narrative has been very positive or negative, depending on whom you speak to. Throughout our communities, I feel that the strong police presence is necessary, and it's expected and it's wanted. Now, me as a union member, as an educator, I feel it's important because I don't have those collective bargaining abilities as an educator. And if that was the case, then we might have been able to slow the process of phasing in kids and making it safer for everybody. But when it comes to that, I know that the idea is the accountability. That's the part that many people want. I think what really is important too is addressing the issue with the arbitrators. I think that's the biggest component that's causing so much dissension between both groups. Those are the arbitrators that are deciding that after someone gets go for being a bad person or being a bad cop, the
15
good cops
seconds.
get the negative of it. They're the ones that are allowing them to come back in the spite of what the decision was rendered. So I definitely would feel that we would still need to support in providing the ability to collect a bargain.
Thank you. Mr. Geremy Landin, same question. Do you support the propositions on the ballot regarding police reform and accountability, and why?
So I do not support Proposition B, but I do support reform. I think that one of the things that I have noticed from many of the District 5 residents that I have met is that they share that many of them have been part of unions, and many of them know that collective bargaining is a cornerstone of what makes unions unions. We have for decades been asking to fight for workers' rights. Many of whom start here in District 5. I think there may be a higher density of union workers here in the community than anywhere else. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take a shift before we start to try and address things at that level. However, I support whatever the electorate decides. It's on the ballot. And my vote counts as one vote for that initiative. And I think that whatever District 5 and the City of San Antonio decides is what I will support moving forward. So that is my response to that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Marie Crabb, same question. Do you support the propositions on the ballot regarding police reform and accountability, and why?
So I do not support removing their ability to collectively bargain. I do support added training. I support sensitivity training and giving our police officers as many tools in their tool belt as possible so that they can address each situation with compassion, because most of them are out there trying to do the best that they can. I have a brother who's a police officer, and I asked his opinion on it as an officer, and he said they don't want to be stuck with bad officers more than any of the rest of us, because it puts their lives in danger too. So I think we're all working towards the same end goal. We just have to figure out how to get there together. And many of the people that I've spoken to in the neighborhoods want more police presence because they want to feel safe and they want to feel like the police are part of the community again. So I think we can work to get there together. And I don't think it'll be good if we remove a big piece of what they feel protects them as a unit.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Anthony Gres, same question. Do you support the propositions on the ballot regarding police reform, accountability, and why?
No, we don't support it. I don't support it. I mean, I have a brother-in-law that's 28-year officer of the force. I mean, they're not all bad apples. But if we were to pass this, I think the people are not educated enough to understand that if we were to pass this, there's 800 officers that are up for retirement. 700 can apply for early retirement. We would lose over half of our officers, but that's not in telling how many fire departments guys, firefighters we would lose. EMS guys. Who are we going to call? Ghostbusters? Come on, guys. This is something that we need to inform the public about. Mr. Moreno made a very good point. I mean, yeah, we can't do it all, but it's information that we need to give. And collective bargaining is something that
15 seconds.
This is why officers come to San Antonio, because they make it a career. They're there to protect and serve. So no, I don't support it. We need more police presence, actually. We need more officers. We need more firefighters. We're getting bigger.
Thank you. My next question goes to, sorry, flipping my page. Mr. Ricardo Moreno. What are 3 areas of strength in District 5, and in what 3 ways can District 5 be improved? Second part of the question would be, if you are elected, will you commit to touring all areas of District 5 that you will represent?
Yes, ma'am. So my whole platform is, in addition to that, my message is to refine and merge. I know some people feel as if District 5 is dead and we need to revive it. To me, it's not the case. To me, the generation before us has provided a lot of great foundational pieces that we can definitely build on. Whether it's bike lanes, whether it's greenery, whether it's infrastructure that are there. There's great businesses that are located throughout our communities, whether it's the Loma Park area, whether it's the Zarzamora area, whether it's the Nogalitos, whether it's Monterrey, Buena Vista, throughout. You're going to find great businesses that need that support. And it's important for us to refine on that and build and expand on that. Education, another key element. We've got great schools that are doing awesome. I know we have this narrative that South San, Harlandale, Edgewood, even SAISD to an extent, that we're all, having issues and complications, but our students are being successful. Now, the thing that we need to
15
do
seconds.
is we need to bring back those kids. We need to find a way to give them an opportunity to invest, develop, and create and buy homes here. That's what's going to make the biggest impact throughout. It'll be a trickle down effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Geremy Landin, same question. What are 3 areas of strength in District 5, and in what 3 ways can District 5 be improved? If elected, will you commit to touring all areas of District 5 that you will represent?
Absolutely. So 3 areas of strength I see is that we're definitely a community of resiliency. We're a community of hope and a community of culture. I definitely think that we will continue to be all of those things, and will continue to grow as a community if we are listening to each other. In 3 ways we can improve. I think that's one of them is learning how we can really become a bridge to all of the communities that are within the district, to not thinking about us all as one separate split up community. That's one. I think the second is making sure that the programs that we have that support our homes being improved, I think we need to continue to support those programs. The Under One Roof program, the program for weatherization of our homes, we definitely see that those
15
things need
seconds,
to
sir.
be worked on. And then the last piece is making sure that we are taking care of one another, that we try to really work on making sure that we're neighborhoods that care and are watching over one another. I don't think I have time to answer the last part of your question. Sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Marie Crabb, what are 3 areas of strength in District 5, and in what 3 ways can District 5 be improved? If elected, will you commit to touring all areas of District 5 that you will represent?
So, yes, I absolutely will commit to touring all areas of District 5. And this is something that I was thinking about as I was block walking is, why does it have to stop with the election? Why can't it continue? So that's something I actually want to continue after being elected. 3 things that we're very strong on is our culture, our resilience, and our community. Those things have held us together for a very long time. I don't have to be a lifelong resident of District 5 to see that and to know that with every person I talk to. Areas that we can improve, we should start thinking about pulling together for our goals as a community of District 5. I would like to see us promoting our small businesses more to bring that money into our district and putting money in our business owners' pockets. And
15 seconds.
also, I want to see us moving forward in the city as a power player and not from a place of, disadvantage in the city. We have a lot of resources in District 5 that if we mobilize them correctly, we could be the most powerful district in the city.
Stop.
Thank you. Mr. Anthony Gres, what are 3 areas of strength in District 5, and in what 3 ways can District 5 be improved? If elected, will you commit to touring all the areas of District 5 you will represent?
Yes, I will commit to touring the entire district. We're already walking it right now. And I've been, living here all my life, 47 years. The 3 strengths are our residents, our culture, our small businesses. Things that we can improve would be growth, small business growth. Another one would be bringing in other businesses to create more business, to create competition. These people that work here in our small businesses, if we bring other businesses here, they're going to hire residents from District 5. those residents will then turn around and spend their money in District 5. And it creates wealth in District 5. And with that said, if we do not start focusing on what we currently have right now,
15 seconds.
are going to just keep on going backwards. We don't need to be reinventing the wheel, like I keep saying. It's going forward.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Mata, same question. What are 3 areas of strength in District 5, and in what 3 ways can District 5 be improved? If elected, will you commit to touring all areas of District 5 you will represent?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking the question. Yeah, I believe the strengths are neighborhood associations, home ownership. There's a lot of homeowners, and civil service. There's a lot of people who in the community who are involved with the community, and they're proud people. So I think those are the strengths. And I definitely would definitely want to look at all the district. We have to visit all the district, all areas, and work on any issues they may have. But I will tell you this, that for my 20-something years of living here and working here, I can tell you in the last couple of years and being out there talking to a lot of folks that a lot of people feel like they're not being paid attention to or nobody cares about them. That's why my slogan is Revive District 5, because we're going to bring a new light to the district. It's going to take the right leadership to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will move on with Ms. Velma. She will be reading the next set of questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Marisela. This first question it's a long question. It actually has 2 questions in one. The first person will be Geremy Landin. In what ways will you implement and commit to work with neighborhood associations, coalitions, and other communities so that residents' voices play a key part in policy-making decisions that are being made about their communities and ensure transparency in communication? The second part is, will you personally, as a public elected official, commit to meet with members of the Westside Neighborhood Associations Coalition within the first 30 days and on a quarterly basis?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll actually answer your second question first, though. Would I commit to meeting with Westside Neighborhood Association Coalition? Absolutely, within those 30 days. It should not take that long to meet with all the organizations that are around, make sure that we're being cognizant of that. In implementing to commit to working with residents and making sure their voices are heard, that's many of what I've talked about during the questions we've asked today. I want to see that we are doing participatory budgeting, that y'all are included in how we process, pick folks for not only for the staff for the office, but also for the boards and commissions. We don't need any more empty board seats and any more committee seats empty. I think we definitely need to see that. And there are so many capable people within the community and within your neighborhood associations that should definitely be taking a part in those things. So those are just a couple of ways, and we would continue to grow that as speaking with all of you. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Landin. Next will be Marie Crabb. In what ways will you implement and commit to work with neighborhood associations, coalitions, and other communities so that residents' voices play a key part in policy-making decisions made about their communities and ensure transparency in communication? Second part, will you personally, as a public elected official, commit to meet with the members of the Westside Neighborhood Associations Coalition within the first 30 days and on a quarterly basis?
So I believe that having ongoing meetings is going to ensure that there's little room for communication gaps. And as a business owner, I'm all about clarity and communication and honesty with my clients. So that's the best thing you can do for someone, is just be clear and be honest. So it's part of how I do things already. Furthermore, like I mentioned before, I want to be a constant presence in the community. At this point in my life, I'm very dedicated to my job, and I have 7 days a week that I work now. And this is, to me, a lifestyle decision to be a public servant. So I'm willing to put all the work into it that I need. And yes, absolutely, I'll commit to meeting with you guys in the first 30 days and once a quarter, me personally. And addition to that, I want to have one of my staff members at each meeting. But yes, I'll be there once a quarter for sure.
Thank you, Ms. Crabb. Next, we have Anthony Gres. In what ways will you implement and commit to work with neighborhood associations, coalitions, and other communities so that the resident voices play a key part in policy-making decisions made about their communities and ensure transparency and communication? Will you personally, as an elected official, commit to meet with members of the Westside Neighborhood Associations Coalition within the first 30 days and on a quarterly basis, sir?
Yes, I would commit within the first 30 days. This is why I created El Charo Association and became a member of the Westside Neighborhood Coalition, so that we can actually all of us work together for the same purpose, and that is for District 5. Now, the only way we can all do that together is by informing one another about what's going on. And if elected, or when I'm elected as your next District 5 City Councilman, this is what I plan to do. Keeping transparency on all boards, on all levels, working with one another. This is how we get things accomplished, not by ourselves. Working together is one of my biggest things, and keeping everyone informed. This is why we created, each individual on here, why we created a neighborhood association, so that we can all understand what needs to be done for District 5 from all aspects of the district.
Thank you, Mr. Gres. And now we will have Jason Mata.
Hi.
In what ways would you already know the question?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In what ways will you implement and commit to work with neighborhood associations, coalitions, and other communities so that resident voices play a key part in policy-making decisions made about their communities and ensure transparency and communication? Will you personally, as an elected official, commit to meet with members of the Westside Neighborhood Associations Coalition within the first 30 days and on a quarterly basis?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Yeah, for sure. I can commit to meeting with your organization the first 30 days. That's a for sure, and that's a given. City council people often have meetings with the presidents of the neighborhood associations. It's something that started back all the way to Patty Radel. I remember being involved in those. But I would open it up to more than just presidents, open it up to the whole board and even memberships, even the members of those neighborhood associations, have meetings with them on a monthly or quarterly basis, and have staff members there to keep in line with what's going on in your neighborhood and what are your needs and how can we work together. So, having a background with the neighborhood association, I definitely know how that works, and I definitely know how you need to have the council person's support to get things done for your community, and only you in those areas know your needs more than I would know, and so you definitely got to keep the lines of communication open. And so definitely
Thank you,
commit to
sir.
that. I want to just say that I could barely hear what you guys are saying. That's why I have the phone so close to me. Thank you.
To speak a little bit louder. So the next person will be Ricardo Moreno. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In what ways will you implement and commit to work with neighborhood associations, coalition, and other communities so that resident voices play a key part in policy-making decisions made about their community and ensure transparency and communication? Will you personally, as an elected official, commit to meet with members of the Westside Neighborhood Associations Coalition within the first 30 days and on a quarterly basis?
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. So in doing this, I actually have something tangible that you guys can actually review and assess, as some of you guys may be familiar with. My focus is always assess, evaluate, and implement. And the idea that we did through Harlandale ISD is we had a strategic planning, which we involved all stakeholders and committee members to come in and let's work on a vision, let's work on our goals. And that was a months-long process for us to accomplish, but I was one of the huge proponents for pushing that. When it comes to local, communities, associations, neighborhood associations, I would meet regularly with the Terra Linda, that would meet over here at Collier with Mr. Covarrubia. And unfortunately, as you guys mentioned, the visibility of others wasn't there. We never saw Ms. Gonzalez. I did see Mr. Saldana every once in a while, but we never really saw anyone, from the office other than
15 seconds, sir.
And to me, that would be important. And the last thing is, there's no excuse now. We have WebEx, we have Google, we have Zoom. I'm going to find a way to get there. Even last year, I had a meeting where I actually did it by my phone to show people how easy it was. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, we have another question number 5. We'll start with Miss Maria Crabb. This is also a long question, and it's actually 2 questions as well. So if I need to repeat it, please let me know. District 5 has an abundance of car lots, tire shops, and mechanic shops. Will you support the NAs that do not want them in the area when there is a zoning change request for this kind of business? Second part, how will you support neighborhoods and zoning requests that can be hurtful to neighborhoods?
Well, to answer your first question, if the neighborhood does not want it, if the neighbors who are directly affected do not want it, then it's not something that I would support, because it's not the Marie show. I'm the conduit for the community. So that means I'm to carry out the community's wishes in the most expedient and best way possible on a city level. So if it's not something, and as I understand, most of the people I talk to, that's not something they want more of. The second part of your question, can you just repeat that real quick?
How will you support neighborhoods and zoning requests that can be hurtful to neighborhoods?
Well, it's all about consulting with the people that are directly affected, the neighborhood associations, and like I said, the neighbors and residents that are directly affected by whatever zoning requests are coming in. So anytime a rezoning quest comes in, it needs to be reviewed with the folks that are being directly affected, because they're the ones that are going to have to live with whatever that decision is. So it's important to talk to them about it.
Thank you, Ms. Crabb. Thank you. So the next one will be Anthony Gres. District 5 has an abundance of car lots, tire shops, and mechanic shops. Will you support the NAs that do not want them in the area when there is a zoning change request for this kind of business? How will you support neighborhoods in zoning requests that can be hurtful to neighborhoods?
No, I mean, I would support any neighborhood association that doesn't want another car deal. I mean, we have more car dealerships than we do on 35 here in District 5. I mean, come on, man. We can throw a stone tire shop, car dealership, and all the cars are full of dirt. Nothing ever gets sold. So yeah, I would support any neighborhood association that didn't want that in their neighborhood. But honestly, what we need to do is have a council person that understand, like we have a problem in Memorial Heights. We have a problem here in Westwood Square, where developers come in and buy lots, buy properties, and actually the person that owned it before then, the NA already put a stop to it and voted no against it, but then yet after 1 year or it's sold, it switches around. So we need to actually figure out a way and have
15
council
seconds.
or whoever works there to make sure, hey, that if the NA or the people in the neighborhood do not want it and they've already voted no, this is not what I want here, then the new homeowner has to understand that, hey, you can't do this because they've already voted no previously before that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jason Mata?
Yes, thank you for asking.
Yes,
Oh,
District
okay.
5 has an abundance of car lots, tire shops, mechanic shops. Will you support the NAs that do not want them in their area when there is a zoning change request for this kind of business? Second part, how will you support neighborhoods in zoning requests that can be hurtful to neighborhoods?
Well, thank you for asking that question. The problem is that sometimes, there's already, some of these tire shops, even bail bonds, there's already a precedence set. There's already one down the street from maybe where there'll be another zoning request. So like maybe a block away. So that's kind of, the owners are coming in and they're asking for that, saying, well, there's already one in place there. So why can't I do mine? And it's a very difficult position to be in when you're working against those type of businesses. But yeah, I can support anything that the neighborhood association, that the neighborhood or neighborhood association would be against. I always had a personal policy of no sexually orientated and no more liquor stores in the community. I mean, anything that's going to be harmful, we just can't support it. So we may have to put policy in place for neighborhoods. They can possibly do a neighborhood a plan in place that would eliminate anybody asking for those kind of zonings. So I definitely would like to bring that to the table, talk to communities and let them know that those may be options for them. But anything that they wouldn't want, definitely, we would, I would definitely be with them for sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Ricardo Moreno, would you like me to repeat the question or?
Sure, you can go right ahead, ma'am. Thank you.
District 5 has an abundance of car lots, tire shops, and mechanic shops. Will you support the NAs that do not want them in the area when there is a zoning change request for this kind of business? Second part, how will you support neighborhoods and zoning requests that can be hurtful to the neighborhoods?
Yes, ma'am. So I certainly understand the neighborhood associations have a understanding of the culture and the climate of our neighborhoods acutely, and know the little nuances that perhaps not everyone does. So we certainly would need to kind of find a way to leverage that information to the benefit of all. And I know sometimes if they're already uh, situated there, then perhaps there's not things that we can do for those groups because they're already kind of grandfathered in, or for the ones that potentially are coming in. To me, what's important is we actually would have to broker some sort of relationship with my potential council persons as well to make sure that that stuff is equitable and shared. That it shouldn't just be all directed towards the west and the south side of District 5. It's something that we should possibly look into, seeing what are some other outlets that they can use, or maybe putting some regulations on what they can do if they're going to go through there and they have that
15
certain
seconds.
checklist in place. But for me, I would certainly support any type of community involvement, engagement, so we could figure out what we can do collectively to make our area aesthetically more appealing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Landin next, sir. Would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I got the question. Thank you. So definitely, I think that we would continue to support neighborhood associations with the requests that they're asking for, not wanting things like car lots in the area. And to that effect, to answer your second question, with all of the zoning issues that come up within the communities, I think that, the communities that we have here in District 5 know what it is that they do not want to see and what they do want to see. And definitely making sure that we're at the tables, that at the neighborhood associations, making sure that those are the things that they're looking at, and what issues they see within those properties. And if we can find ways to work through them, then and leverage things for the community, leverage sidewalks, leverage public art spaces, those types of things, I would want to make sure that we're also doing that whenever these zoning things come up as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we are going to go to question number 13. We lost Anthony Gres. So I'm not sure. We're going to go ahead and leave him to the very last,
He's back, Velma. He just rejoined.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So the next question will be for Jason Mata. We'll start with Jason Mata. And the question is, in what ways will you ensure the city will continue using the equity lens in its allocation of resources?
Well, we have to go in there and let everybody know at City Hall that it's not business as usual. I mean, we got to get, District 5 has a lot of needs, and it's pretty obvious. Everyone here, I think candidates can agree that when they're all talking to folks, that there's a lot of need here, infrastructure and everything else. So I would go and advocate for the district. I would just let them know that I'm not going to take no for an answer. My district needs what it needs, and I'm going to go in there and I hate to use the word fight, but I'm a fighter, and I'm going to go in there, I'm going to fight for it. So that's how I would do it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ricardo Moreno, do you support, oh no, I'm sorry. In what ways will you ensure that the city will continue using the equity lens in its allocation of resources?
Yes, ma'am. So in this respect, I think I gained a great deal of knowledge and experience and insight through my last 6 years as a board member and an elected official. I've argued and advocated for public schools. for all public schools, not just Orlando ISD. And to me, I think that gives me an acute understanding of how to broker and talk and negotiate with a variety and diverse group of people. Got a great relationship with Leo Pacheco, state rep. Got a great relationship with state rep Cortez, also state senator Menendez. So I understand how it works and how to get things done. To me, frankly, the thing is, I'm not going to be someone that's just going to be having a seat at the table. To me, I'm going to be leading those discussions, and those discussions are going to be on behalf of what's best for all of District 5, not what's best for just the West Side, not what's just best for the South Side. It's the best for District 5.
15 seconds.
And that's going to be the emphasis, is my ability to communicate and to get things done for our community.
Thank you, sir. Geremy Landin, in what ways will you ensure that the city will continue using the equity lens in its allocation of resources?
Absolutely. I love the way you worded this question, and it made it resources and not just the budget. And that really helps me reformulate the way I think about this, but that means we're looking at budget, bond, and building, right? That's everything, with making sure that the budget continues to be equitably distributed towards District 5, even for those historic measures that we have lost in the past. It's making sure that as the bonds that are coming up move forward are also included within that equity lens. I don't know that we have seen that specifically with the bond. And I want to make sure that we start to work that into all of the city's resources that are coming up. And the last part, I said building, but I was really thinking of these ideas and where developments are starting to occur, making sure that the city is making sure it's focusing on those areas,
15
and
seconds.
that we use whatever we can to leverage so that folks are not worried about their taxes and things like that rising because of properties coming in around and close to District 5. So it's much larger than just the budget.
Stop. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Marie Crabb, in what ways will you ensure that the city will continue using the equity lens in its allocation of resources?
Strict oversight. Budget is all about making sure things go where they need to go according to the plan for the budget. And I'd also like to say negotiating is what I do for a living, and I've been doing it for the past 11 years. So not only just advocating for not just our fair share, but enough to catch us up to where we should be, where the other parts of town have been for years. And that can be successfully done through negotiation and oversight with the budget. And also, just being a strong advocate for the district in that regard. Not only is that in my character, but that's also in my career. So I'm built to think in terms of how to best advocate for a situation. And in this case, it is for District 5 resources through the equity lens.
Thank you, Ms. Crabb. We'll now have Anthony Gres. Are you in with us, Anthony?
Yes, can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
This is the question. In what ways will you ensure that the city will continue using the equity lens in its allocation of resources?
Just working, the equity budget is a great tool that we can utilize, especially for District 5. This is how we're going to be able to bring in more resources, more money, more funds. Yes, there is funds out there from the federal government to help small businesses, but I was mentioned earlier, someone mentioned, I don't know who, District 5, most businesses don't qualify. They're too small or too big, nothing in the middle. But with the equity lens, we do need to we need to have someone there that understands it and how to negotiate more money for District 5. That's the bottom line. And we can actually use it for better, infrastructure, more housing, affordable housing, and stuff like that.
Thank you, sir. So that is the end of my questions. Ms. Aggie Jamarillo is going to now ask you all the questions. So now I will be the timekeeper. So just look for me. I will put up the sign, or I will let you know when, if when your 15 seconds are there, and then when you need to stop. So we're switching now. Thank you, Aggie.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, D5 candidates, for joining us at this forum. My first question is for Anthony Gres. How would you choose appointments to boards and commissions for District 5 representation?
for boards and, okay, how would I choose them? Is
How
that
would
correct?
you choose appointments? How would you choose appointments to boards and commissions for District 5 representation?
Well, I mean, we can choose them by we would be able to choose them by what we're going to need. I mean, I'm not going to hire an infrastructure guy for, for technology guys. I mean, we need to have people that are on those boards, on those committees that have some familiarity with what they're going to be appointed to. I mean, you can have I have a business degree. I also have an undergrad degree in information systems. So I know the need for infrastructure. I know the need for basic internet. And that's what I'm having a problem with right now. Because District 5 has bad internet service. So we need to be able to justify the needs on what committee we're going to be putting them on. We can't just put anybody in there. We need to have people that understand the needs of the district, the needs of being on the committee, and what the committee is being looking for, what areas need to be addressed by the committee.
15 seconds.
That's
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sorry, breaking up.
Okay, Mr. Jason Mata, same question. How would you choose appointments to boards and commissions for District 5 representation?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. So one is qualification, making sure that the person who's seeking to sit on that board is qualified, has some kind of background on it, or understands what they're going to be, their duties and stuff like that, but also their genuine interest in it. How passionate are they? Are they going to make a difference, or are they just wanting to consume that seat that could probably go to someone who has better interest for the community? So we definitely have to look at the person's character. The person's character, make sure that they want to help the community through that board position.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ricardo Moreno, same question. How would you choose appointments to boards and commissions for District 5 representation?
All right, thank you. Certainly, so it'd be merit-based. I know it's going to be based on a resume and credentials and qualifications. Also checking their actual references as well. I have experience, obviously, in hiring a superintendent. I have experience in hiring cabinet, assisting in hiring cabinet level officials, in addition to my own personnel as an assistant principal working with our principal. So I know what it takes to hire someone that's in the best interest of communities, hiring the best interest of kids. And I think that's easily translatable to figuring out who's best for committees and groups and such that are going to benefit our communities. So I think it would be merit-based, certainly, and then assessing where the value and the needs are, and also the authenticity of the person. How are they really committed to doing what's best for our community and for our constituents? So that would be the basis. So thank you.
Mr. Geremy Landin, same question.
Absolutely. Thank you. There are over 90 boards and commissions, and that means that we're looking at over 90 representatives for District 5 being on these boards and commissions. That's a tall order, right? That's something we really want to see and make sure that we're following through with it. But I would want to see, and this is something that we've seen happen in other districts, that we stop asking folks to be on boards and commissions who live outside of District 5. I want District 5 residents on these boards and commissions. I want District 5 business owners on these boards and commissions, because those are the people who will represent District 5. Of course, the rest will be, things like merit-based. It will be education and those types of things. And like I said earlier, I would like to see participatory selection process with this. So that means you all would help pick based on merit, education, and making sure that they're, of course, folks who represent District 5 as business owners and as community members. So we need District 5 people, and we need those boards and commissions to be filled.
Thank you, Mr. Landin. Same question for Ms. Crabb. Do you need for me to repeat it, Ms. Crabb?
No, ma'am. I would obviously look at the most qualified individuals, and not only that, but those who are the most interested in those positions. And we need people that are going to show up and that are going to be checked in. And also, degrees are good, but they do not always equate to the most qualified individual. We need to look at how community oriented that person is. We need to look at their ties to their community. If there's any conflicting interest, and obviously somebody who is in District 5, a resident, a community member, because that's someone with a vested interest in hopefully making the best decision for their community.
Thank you, Ms. Crabb. This next question is also for you, Ms. Crabb. Okay, many of our neighborhoods have been neglected and need neighborhood sweeps. How will you prioritize and identify which neighborhood associations are in dire need? And how will you implement beautifying our neighborhoods and bring pride to our community without causing undue hardship on our most vulnerable neighbors?
Well, I think it's very important to meet with our neighborhood associations because I can't possibly know the needs of every neighborhood association, every street, and it will vary from street to street. So you guys are going to be the ones to give me the best indication as to how we should be concentrating our resources. The vacant lots, I would love to push for community gardens in those lots. So we need to find ways to incentivize those lot owners, not to just let them collect garbage and bring the whole neighborhood or street down, but to allow us to put something there that benefits the whole community. So I would rely heavily on my neighborhood associations as indicators where we need to start.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Crabb. Same question for Mr. Gres. Many of our neighborhoods have been neglected and need neighborhood suites. How would you prioritize and identify which neighborhood associations are in dire need, and how will you implement beautifying our neighborhoods and bring pride to our community without causing undue hardship on our most vulnerable neighbors?
Well, okay, I feel that the entire District 5 should be first. Every neighborhood association should be first. To prioritize one neighborhood association over another would I'm not going to come out and say which one I would prioritize first, because then if I would say my own, I'd be biased. But I understand the need because I am on some committees that right now are in the planning stages of beautifying certain streets, certain areas in the district. I do voice the opinions of the neighborhood associations that I've heard from personally of what the needs and wants are in that area. Prioritization is a priority for District 5. However, I'm not going to say which one is going to go first because it's going to depend on the needs. I mean, I can't say that I can't put a light up at the corner of Balboa Street.
15 seconds left.
But I'm going to neglect to put up another street light at the corner of Ceralvo and Couples because they can't see there. It's hard to prioritize, but working with one another, working with each other, we would have to find some common ground.
Time's up.
Thank you, Mr. Gres. Okay, same question for Mr. Mata. Many of our neighborhoods have been neglected and need neighborhood sweep. How would you prioritize and identify which neighborhood associations are in dire need, and how would you implement beautifying our neighborhoods and bring pride to our community without causing undue hardship on our most vulnerable neighbors?
Well, that would be working directly with the neighborhood associations. I know back in the day, I guess, I don't know, 15 years ago, there used to be an application process for that. And it would be whoever applied for it would be evaluated and go from there. But we would need to definitely work with the neighborhood associations, look at what are the areas that have more need, and we go from there. But as far as the sweeps, I know what they entail. They entail a lot: police presence, code compliance, traffic assessment, and everything else. What I've asked the co-compliance many years ago was for the seniors and the elderly and disabled folks who can't afford to maybe clean the front yard or fix up their homes up to par or up to code, that we have a resource list that the co-compliance officers walk around with a resource list to give them the aid that they may need. And I would definitely be, as a council person, on top of that, making sure that nobody gets fined anything if they just can't deal with the issue, especially the seniors and the disabled folks.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. Same question for Mr. Moreno, Ricardo Moreno.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, I'm good. I'm okay. Thank you, Ms. Armia. So I think the idea is assess, evaluate, implement. And it's something that, it is a tough thing to do, but it's something you have to have a candid conversation with your staff and your personnel and within the city. We've been able to acknowledge that throughout tangibly within Harden ISD, because we have to evaluate on a daily basis needs and assessments of our committees and who prioritize first. And sometimes it is one versus the other, versus one part versus the other, and we can do so. But at the end of the day, we are going to be equitable and fair in deciding how we're going to go forward and proceeding with that. And it's important because there's a lot of elements that come into question, and it's really necessary to be fair and equitable throughout. The idea would be also to find ways to gather that information and to include all the stakeholders involved as well, because those elements are going to be key in providing the priority and giving those honest responses. You're going to provide the rationale why we're doing this first. We're not going to just do it without explanation. And that's where the transparency and accountability comes in play as well. And so there are different things. I think the other thing, when I was in San Marcos, we did Bobcat Build. I think we work with our local organizations and schools. We could find ways that schools can find community service to beautify some of the areas within our communities, especially those vacant lots and the elderly that are needing support.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Mr. Geremy Landin?
Absolutely. I don't think we should have to prioritize which community. I think we need to fight to make sure that these sweeps are happening consistently throughout the whole community. We shouldn't have to pick one precinct or one area of District 5 at a time. We should be able to make sure that there's a schedule in place where those are continuously happening throughout the community. I think the other thing is expanding the program for brush pickup and for bulk pickup. Right now, folks who own a piece of land, unless they have an electricity bill there, they're not able to do any sort of brush or bulk pickup. And I think that's de-incentivizing people to clean up their properties, right? I definitely think we need to expand that program. And then on top of that, we need to increase some of the eligibility guidelines for programs like Under One Roof, like the weatherization program, like the program for the Office of Historic Preservation, making sure that we are incentivizing people to use those programs and work with all of the 116 nonprofits in the community to make sure that they can help us educate folks that those programs are available and that they get utilized. I would continue to support those programs as well.
Thank you, Mr. Landin. This question is also for you, Mr. Landin. How would you promote home ownership, and do you support housing incentives for developers?
How would I promote home ownership? I would promote home ownership by making sure that we're bringing the folks to the table that understand how home ownership becomes something that folks can actually accomplish. I'm a homeowner at 25, or I was 23 when I bought my house, and I didn't think I could do it. And it was because I had an amazing realtor and loan officer that really helped me get through that. So I think we really need to make sure that we are finding those community partners that can work with us well. Do I support incentivizing developers for any properties? Was that the question?
Do you support housing incentives for developers?
Housing incentive for developers. No, no, I don't think so. But I think that we'd have to, I think it's so much more than a black and white question. I would want to understand I think it would be like more of a case by case basis, trying to understand if this is something we're doing for public housing. Well, yes, we'd want to in some way try and incentivize to make sure that those things happen. But for huge, large mixed income types of areas, I don't know. I think it would be a case by case basis, and I'd want an expert.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Crabb, same question. How would you promote home ownership, and do you support housing incentives for developers?
So home ownership is what I do for a living, and I've been doing it for 11 years, and I've helped people all over the spectrum. And at the end of the day, what we need to do is find a way to allow more affordable home ownership. And part of that is finding ways to reduce the tax rate. Now, I get that city council does not affect the tax rate, but we are a city office, and there should be a way that we can start having those conversations, because as our property values increase, even if we decrease the tax rate, we're still going to be gaining revenue as a city. So we're not losing out money, but we will be allowing people to have a more affordable homeowner experience. Additionally, I don't believe in supporting incentives for developers unless there is a direct and firm commitment to affordable housing. So far, that has not been the case. So far, that's what they've said and not done. So with that being the case, I would not support it.
Thank you, Ms. Crabb. Mr. Anthony Gres,
Yes.
how would you promote home ownership, and do you support housing incentive for developers?
No, I not in District 5. District 5 is something that no, I wouldn't support incentives for developers, because they're not doing what they're not doing what they were asked to do or said that they would do anyways for District 5. Home ownership promotion, that's a very big deal. There's a lot of people in District 5 that would love to own their own home, an affordable home. And the way to do that is to use the current housing stock, the current vacant lots that we have throughout the district to try to use some of the programs that are there right now in place to build beautify homes, existing homes. And this is throughout the district. And the way do we do that is not only building these homes, not only building affordable homes, by actually giving help to the people buying these homes, because it's just not buying a home. If you buy a home, you have to learn how to take care of it. You have to learn how to basic maintenance. Some of these people that are going to be buying homes, brand new homes, or first-time home buyers, they don't understand the basic necessities of taking care of their own home.
Thank you, Mr. Gres. Same question for Mr. Jason Mata.
Okay. Okay, I got the question. Well, you know, my top priorities include ending generational poverty and through education. So how would I promote home ownership would be to making sure that our kids get educated, that they get their high school diplomas, that they go to college, that they learn trade skills, that they get good jobs, and that that would enable them to go buy a home. I hate to see the generational poverty here in my community. I really want it to end. Education is the key to that. And that's how I'm going to support that. I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on education, ending generational poverty that would lead to home ownership. As far as initiatives for developers, it just developers have a, I guess there's a stigma against them that they try and take your land for very little money. I wouldn't incentivize that at all. We need to take a hard look at that and make sure that there is no gentrification in our community. So no, I would not support any initiatives for developers unless they're going to give something back to the community, which I don't think is going to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. Okay, same question for Mr. Ricardo Moreno.
Yes, ma'am. So in dealing with this question, I know it's really important for us to provide home ownership. As I alluded to earlier, there are programs like Cross Timber that are providing opportunities for lower middle class, and middle class citizens to have the ability to afford a home if they make a certain amount of money below 60,000. And those, the biggest investment you can make is in a home. And we're hoping that we can continue to do that. Now, a lot of times too, throughout our areas, we're very landlocked and we can't create these huge subdivisions or these gated communities as other areas can. But we need to find a balance with that to provide more ample opportunities for our communities to get, more aesthetically beautified, and also being able to have that ability to bring in these families to have access to a single family home. Now, when it comes to developers, I know in a lot of cases it just hasn't worked. And to me, as I referred to earlier, developers should be paying their interest should be paying their share of the costs. They shouldn't be giving 0% rebates. I know a lot of times too that the beautifying downtown, that area, they were provided all these tax breaks, by Mayor Castro, and those things have not helped us. They've helped, one aesthetic part, but they haven't had the trickle effect that people assumed they would have.
Okay.
So that would be my approach: is no.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and go. Thank you for everyone for answering all our questions. So now we're going to go back to each candidate so that you can do your closing remarks. So we're going to go ahead and start with Maria Crabb. You will have 2 minutes for your closing.
Well, I want to thank the Westside Neighborhood Association Coalition for the invitation today. It was a pleasure for me to share my vision for District 5. I'm sure there are going to be more questions, so feel free to reach out to me and I will always be willing to talk with you. Communication is key, and it's how I'll make sure as your next councilwoman that your neighborhood issues are heard and that my office and city staff are working to serve you. We're going to work hard to improve our neighbors' everyday lives, whether it's streets, lights, or loose dogs. I'll work with you to preserve our unique heritage of District 5 and ensure that we're a family community. I'm fully aware that I'm new to the political scene and I offer a new way to look at our community's most important issues, but new is not bad, especially when it's accompanied with experience in life, in business, and in government. I offer strong, bold leadership, and that I can commit to. When I'm elected, I'll have a strong, experienced team in place so that I can hit the ground running and that we can work hard for our community.
Thank you, Ms. Crabb. So now we will have Anthony Gres for your closing remarks.
Okay, so if I lose you guys, I'm sorry. I'm having internet issues here. They're actually working outside my building. Well, thank you very much for inviting me, guys. I mean, this is why I kind of love these forums. What I've been listening to people why walking is that they wish there were more public forums because they'd like to see and speak to each individual candidate that is running for District 5. I understand the needs of the district, have my business here for 14 years now, so I know how to create jobs and how to create opportunities. With giving my second chance opportunity program here that we've created, been able to give people and these opportunities that could reacclimate back into society. Inventory stocks, I mean, house, investing in small businesses, the community, public safety. I've been running a campaign for the last several years. I've been trying to understand every needs of the district, and it's many. I have spoken to many of you here on this Zoom or WebEx meeting, and I understand the needs of the district are great. But keeping the ball rolling, not reinventing the wheel, is something that we need to keep on going forward and for progress for District 5. Opportunity is there to keep the ball going, and this is why I'm here running and continue to run to represent everyone in District 5. So I hope I can earn your vote, everyone's support here, and be your next District 5 City Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gres. And now we will have Jason Mata.
Okay, well, thank you guys for inviting me. Thank you to the coalition members, and thank you for all the hard work that you guys do. Well, again, like I said, I lived in this district for more than 30 years. I've been working here for more than 25 years in this community with the issues social issues that are prevalent, that are plaguing our community. Mentioned the education level being at 36.6% for high school graduation, less than 10% for a college degree. We need to work on that, and I'm going to focus on that. I believe that a lot of the other issues will be worked on once we work on that education. They'll be addressed as well. But I do want to tell you, I want to share with you guys, I created a PIE approach, which is prevention, intervention, and enrichment. My number one thing is to prevent tragedies in our community. Number two is to intervene when we need to. When right now, district has a lot of intervention. But the bottom goal is to enrich the community, enrich the lives of the kids, enrich the lives of the working adults and the people in our community so that we can all be enriched. So that's my goal. My goal is to enrich the community, and I think that we can get it done. I've been working here, like I said, 20 plus years. I'm well known in City Hall already because I've been deeply involved already. So I ask for your support. Anybody who's watching, please go to www.votemata.com. And you can see some of the work that I've done in just the last 6 years. Some of the stuff's there. So thank everybody for being here, and thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
Mr. Mata. And now we will have Ricardo Moreno, 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
Sure. So I've always had a strong sense of civic duty. I've been indebted to my community for forever. They provided me ample opportunities to be successful. Many of you have had obstacles in your ways to make it easier for my generation to have the simplistic way to get educated and to becoming able to come back and support and take the baton and take it from you guys and follow through and continue that leadership role. And to me, I feel frankly that with our communities, we need to be a community of where people always see as a community of problems, but I want District 5 to actually be a community of solutions. And that's what I implore and stress with the Refine and Merge message that I have through the Moreno for D5 campaign. I feel that we are in a position to be more successful, more equitable and more fair in providing those services for our communities and our families. And I feel strongly that with the experience and understanding that I have through the years as an educator and as an assistant principal and as an elected official, that I have that experience to finally be in a position to take that baton and take the leadership role that I feel I have an ability to do well for you guys. I humbly ask for your support. I know we can't do it without the associations and without all community stakeholders involved. I'm deeply invested and deeply rooted on the West South Side throughout District 5. And I humbly ask for your support. You can follow us at any handles at Moreno for D5. And thank you. And have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. And now we will have Geremy Landin, also 2 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for having us today. I'm really glad that we've been able to chat today. Working with the community and witnessing the resiliency and tenacity of District 5 is what inspired me to run for office. I graduated from Fox Tech High School as a homeless student, and ever since my undergraduate at St. Mary's, I've been donating my photography skills and anything else that I can to take snapshots of all the beauty District 5 has to offer. My awe of the community and its people has only grown as I've worked, through the city and marketing at Pre-K4SA, at the Hispanic Chamber, and even now at an allergy clinic where I've been able to provide, COVID vaccines and testing to the community. I love serving my community in different ways, from taking photos of local events to bringing COVID tests and doing all of those things because it's something that really helps all of us. I'm ready to fight for the rights of my neighbors and bring a fresh, new perspective to council. I'm Norberto Geremy Landin, and I'm running for city council because I'm ready to work with you to showcase the beauty and resiliency of District 5. I'm grateful for all of you for being here today and for inviting all of us out today. I think it's really important that we have more community conversations, and I hope we all get an opportunity to continue working with each other in the future, both near and far. So thank you all so much, and have a great Sunday.
Thank you, Mr. Landin, and thank you all for answering all our questions. We will have the closing remarks, but I also want to, by Richard Garcia, but I also want to mention that if you want to view this, forum, you can view it on YouTube. So if you want to do that. So we will now ask Richard Garcia to come in for our closing remarks.
Well, again, thank you all for joining us and participating in this event. We wish all the candidates for District 5 the best of luck. And again, I want to thank also the audience out there in Cyberland for joining us. Thank you very much for participating. And also want to take this opportunity to thank all the members of the WNAC planning team, the presidents from the following associations, which was Los Puentes, Ms. Agui Jaramillo, Tier 1, Ms. Cynthia Spellman. Thank you very much, ma'am. Las Palmas, Ms. Hernandez, who was here. Los Jardines, Eric Estrada. We couldn't have done it without him. Gardendale, Ms. Marisela Garza. Also, Ms. Velma Peña. Thank you very much for all your work, and also for Memorial Heights. And if you want to know more about the WNAC, you can always contact us, or here's the address to it is WNACcoalition@gmail.com. Remember that there's strength in numbers, and there's about maybe 13 or 14 WNAC registered neighborhood associations, and they're, like I said, there's strength in numbers, and it takes a village. And just to let the candidates know that we are the village. Okay, we are the village, and once you get into office, you have not heard the last of us. You will hear from us again. You definitely and absolutely will hear from us again. Okay, and we will be the squeaky wheel. We will be the squeaky wheel. Thank you all very much, and have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Everyone, good talking to everyone.